Welcome back to Cult Pop. I'm your host, Jim Hall, and today we've got a really cool show for you. We've got artist and author John K. Snyder III. You might be familiar with him if you're into the comic books world with his wonderful work on Grendel, his recent work on the A-Team. He did some great covers with that. And most recently, he just finished a project for IDW, the Infestation project that went on there, and he did some amazing cover work for the whole project, and it's just absolutely amazing. So we wanted to have him on to talk about this now finished IDW project. So John, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me on.
Infestation is an amazing project from IDW. IDW is a real cool company that's kind of come along here the past 5-10 years and really kind of taken the comics world by storm. And they've really gotten the comics world talking with this Infestation project. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that is and how it just finished up?
Well, Infestation is a multi-dimensional adventure which begins on IDW Earth, which consists of such titles from IDW as Zombie vs. Robots, Orphans, and CVO, Covert Vampire Operations. And here on this IDW Earth, a zombie plague breaks out and spills over into the alternate universes of Transformers, Star Trek, G.I. Joe, and Ghostbusters. And from there, we're off and running. And that's where my covers come in.
Okay, well, you were kind enough to send us copies of all the covers, so we're going to discuss them. And there's some really amazing stuff, some of which has really just been blogged about incessantly because people have just gone nuts about some of your Star Trek stuff, the original Infestation book itself, amazing covers on both books. So let's jump right in because we've got so much to talk about. And let's talk about the very first image we're going to see is the cover art for Infestation #1.
Yeah, well, this is the beginning of the series of the 10 covers that I did for the 10 books. These are variant covers, and this is one of several for each issue. This one in particular is the beginning and has a zombie hand literally ripping down and tearing apart the fabric of the IDW universe, and all the zombies are spilling out into all the alternate books, and I just wanted to signify that by the hand coming down, ripping apart the page. And this hand ended up becoming the actual logo or symbol for the entire series. So that is the first cover in the run. And as with all the covers, I wanted to capture this sense of actual infestation and chaos and zombies and all this sort of thing. So that's the beginning of the entire run there.
Okay, well now I'm looking at this actual claw, this second image, kind of a close-up of the claw itself. And I remember, John, seeing this image a lot in a lot of different magazines, everything from Famous Monsters of Filmland. I've seen it online and stuff. So yeah, absolutely. This ended up being kind of the touchstone, the cornerstone of this whole thing. People kind of knew about it from that. How did that make you feel that your image has kind of become iconic with that?
Well, I feel like it got the point across, definitely.
Excellent, excellent. Now, the next thing I want to look at, and it's one of my personal favorites, is the cover for Star Trek Infestation #1. So this is the Star Trek comic, but it's their world, their universe with this crossover Infestation. And what an amazing cover, John.
Well, thanks very much there, Jim. I wanted to capture a feel of the old series, the old television series, in the sense of the old paperbacks of that time period as well, and have a little bit of nod to just kind of having this emphasis of a very simple design, and you have the landing party, Mr. Spock, and of course the red shirt in the background, as well as the giant zombie head, which really kind of symbolizes the massive zombie forces they're getting ready to encounter. And so I wanted to kind of give it a sense of foreboding.
Well, once again, at a lot of the comic websites, at different comic shops and stuff, a lot of talk was going on about this because there's a lot of Star Trek fans that absolutely love it because it's very true to the old Star Trek and some of those old comics that used to be out back in the day in the 70s. And you really did a great job of making it modern, but capturing that old feel from the old comics. So congratulations, that's really neat. And then the one that really took everybody's breath away, the Star Trek Infestation 2 cover, which we're looking at now.
Yeah, that was a terrific. That was a lot of fun to work on. That was actually started out as a suggestion from the editorial staff to have a zombie tribble and then that kind of grew from a zombie tribble to a giant zombie tribble force, and you have everybody kind of going through their traditional roles. Mr. Spock with the scientific information, the Enterprise up above, and Captain Kirk, woman in one hand, phaser in the other. And again, when we were doing these covers, there was a suggestion from the editorial staff that they have kind of a 50s science fiction poster feel to them. So once again, you have this sense of chaos and all these different things happening, and armies and masses of people running away. And I think that one I was particularly happy with, and it was great to use the old Gold Key Star Trek logo on those too, the old Gold Key Comics Star Trek logo.
Yeah, it's very cool. And once again, that was another issue that really got the different comic book websites just really talking about, #1 cover of the week, and John Snyder has hit it out of the park again, and so it really got the fans out there talking, and IDW must be really happy that I know Infestation did really well, and the Star Trek in particular, it took my breath away. I absolutely loved it. Continuing with that Infestation #2 cover, now we're looking at a sketch to kind of give the folks an idea, and this is really interesting how the sketch is absolutely magnificent, and then the colors kind of added later. A lot of folks at home may not be familiar with that whole process.
Well, what you're looking at there is actually is a close-up of the near-finished pencil stage from me, and then that I would darken those up in Photoshop, and then give those to my colorist on the entire run, all 10 covers, Jason Wright, who did just an outstanding, wonderful job on all the covers, and put his touch onto them. So that's what you're looking at there, and that is the initial process, and then, like I said, it's colored, and then you see the final result.
Yes, that's excellent. I'm a real fan of that cover in particular, so I think you really knocked that one out of the park. Let's move right on now to the Transformers. Now, as we talked about, that IDW, this storyline literally it crossed over all their different books, and Transformers, Star Trek, and all that. These are all iconic names for people, so that they all know about these comic books from. They've seen the movies. They may not know there's comics out there, but a lot of fans at home, I think, are going to be interested to pick some of this stuff up now that they're watching the show, and they're really going to like this one, Transformers #1. Tell us a bit about that cover.
All right. For the Transformers cover, that was a great deal of fun to work on. What we tried to do there was a nod to the Day the Earth Stood Still movie poster from the 50s, and in place of Gort, we have Optimus Prime. And I was very happy with how that turned out.
Yeah, it's kind of neat with Transformers for fans of comic books and movies. Transformers, there's people my age that know about it and absolutely love it, and there's kids that love it now. So once again, it's one of the reasons this Infestation story, I think, was so interesting to so many different groups of people, because it goes across so many lines of interest for people. I knew the Transformers as a kid way back. Now these movies are hitting it out of the park. And so once again, great job and very cool stuff. We've got some more Transformers. The Transformers #2, we've got both the cover and, once again, the sketch to kind of take a look at here.
What you're looking at there is, if you're looking at the finished piece now, what you're looking at is the final color result, which again is the color work of Jason Wright. And what you're looking at there is the actual finished pencils before they're darkened up in Photoshop and then turned over for the final colors. That second Transformers cover is again a nod to a very well-known science fiction movie poster, The Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. So there we would kid around about as being the attack of the 150-foot Brit, who is the name of the character from CVO, the Covert Vampire Operatives book that kicked off the initial Infestation series.
Excellent, and we also see the sketch from that. Now I want to move on to the Ghostbusters stuff. These covers in particular got people talking. I think it was 50-50 on the Star Trek and this Ghostbuster one that really got the web going and really excited with just how amazed they were with this photo and how it's really kind of become quite a talking point for the series and for just art in general. People really seem to like this. Right now we're looking at the Ghostbusters sketch, and that kind of tells it all. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this whole idea here?
Well, Jim, I was particularly thrilled with that one. It was a once-in-a-lifetime career opportunity to render a zombie Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, so I really wanted to make it count. I use models sometimes in my work, and in this case, what I did was you'll see the initial rough there, and from there I actually just took a small pile of marshmallows and stuck them in the microwave and melted them a bit. Kids, don't try this at home, but it worked out pretty well for me to just get the dripping and the melting just right, and took a few pictures of it. Did the face a little bit, and then backlit it, and then did it as well with the hands. And then, as you can see in the final result, Jason, again, my colorist, added the burnt tips of the fingers, which I thought was a terrific touch. That was great fun to work on. I thoroughly enjoyed how that came out.
All right. Well, looking at both images of the melting marshmallows, I think you might have had more fun in your experimentation process than even more fun than you did actually drawing the cover, I think.
I think I was about 5 seconds away from ruining the microwave. I think marshmallows pretty tough to get off the sides of the sides of the microwave.
And then, but, as you said, we're looking at the actual finished product now, and that's really just absolutely amazing and so much fun. And like you said, I don't know that you ever could have expected that you'd be doing a zombie Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So it really got people talking. And I read a lot of things at non-comic book sites, movie sites and things like that were discussing, and is this going to get a new Ghostbusters movie going and all kinds of stuff, because there is such a big fan base for that movie. And then people saw this image, and it really got people talking, not only in comic books, about comic books who were fans of that, but movie fans really started talking about this, and that image really excited people. So you really did a great job on that. Congratulations. Now we're going to move on to the G.I. Joe stuff, and once again, this is really interesting. We're looking at an image, it looks like from the old school G.I. Joes that I remember this from when I was a kid, when I was collecting G.I. Joes. Tell us what we're seeing here.
Well, again, a terrific suggestion from the editorial staff. What we've got here is somebody had suggested doing the G.I. Joe adventure team as zombies, and so just with some quick referencing, found a photograph of the old adventure G.I. Joe box and worked off of that as the background. So when we go from there to the rough for the G.I. Joe cover, you see it as the main image. And then again, an editorial suggestion was to put one of the Cobra characters in the foreground. And so that was the final result there.
Okay, yeah, and I really do enjoy that cover. And it once again, I keep on talking about what a fun series this was. It was fun for me because as an adult now, a lot of these, Star Trek was something from my childhood. I'd watch the reruns. G.I. Joe I absolutely loved. The Transformers was a cartoon, and now as an adult I love the movies. And I think IDW has become a very fun company because they have great independently owned stuff, their own storyline stuff, but they're really picking up great comics of things that I remember from the past, and they're really fun, good stories. So I really enjoyed that G.I. Joe comic also. And then Infestation, kind of the story closes itself up. It loops off into the Infestation #2, which we've just actually seen, has just come out. And we're taking a look. Let's take a look at that cover right now. Tell us about the final image, which is the Infestation #2.
Well, the final cover in the series, Infestation #2, we're getting back to the theme of the first cover, which was the zombie hand ripping down and pulling apart the fabric of all these different universes and the zombies, piling out. So now they're being pulled back into this vortex, and it's the end of this entire conflict. So I just wanted to kind of bookend it the same way the series was, again with the white background and with zombies going in as opposed to coming out as they were in the first.
Okay, well, I can only hope. John, you did an absolutely magnificent job on those covers. It's great to see your work like that so quickly. I've been familiar with your work for many, many years. I've always absolutely loved it back in the Grendel days. And as you and I have already discussed, we plan to have you on later on in the year to talk about some other projects. But Infestation was absolutely amazing. It has wrapped up, but it's still, I just went to my comic shop and almost all the issues are out on the stands, so you can still find them. So I encourage folks at home to absolutely check out their comic shops. But if you've seen particular images you want to check out, go to your local comic shop, pick up some of those comics. You can also go to the web, and they're readily available at many, many sites, or go to idw.com, the website itself for the company, and they have all this stuff available. And I'm personally hoping that it gets a nice treatment as a graphic novel or some type of collected format. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but I'm certainly hoping it does. Do you have any insight on that, John?
I'm not quite sure yet. You'll have to, everybody will just have to ask the fellows at IDW for that and see how that turns out.
Okay, and their website is absolutely fantastic, and I recommend that folks go there at idw.com. And John, we've shown your website throughout the show. Why don't you tell the folks at home, again, a website where they can check out some more of your great art?
Well, right now I've just set up a site on DeviantArt, JKS3 at DeviantArt.com. Just in its beginning stages, I've just put up the initial infestation covers, and I'll have plenty more to put up in time to come. So for right now, if they want to take a closer look at these covers, they can go there, and I'll be adding more and more to that as time goes on.
Great. That's a great way for people to kind of take a look and get to know your art and see some of the great stuff out there. I also know that if people are interested in the originals that they've seen, some of the original covers that you've seen here today, you can actually buy them. There's AnthonySnyder.com, no relation to John, strange things, but Anthony Snyder of Anthony's Collectibles has a bunch of different artists under his wings where he's got their original art. And so if you go to AnthonySnyder.com, you can pick up some of these original covers, and there's some really incredible stuff at amazing prices. John and other artists are there, so that's something else. And John, I wanted to thank you so much for being on today. As you and I have discussed off camera, there's a lot of stuff. You've got a long history background today. We just wanted to focus on your work at IDW, what's gone on recently with this infestation. You also did some great work that people know about with Grendel, and many years worth of amazing work. So we're going to plan to have you on, if you'd be so kind, here later on in the year, and kind of maybe do a focus on some. I know you've got some special projects you said you're gonna bring us up to speed on, and maybe even send us a couple of sneak peeks of some covers that I can show on another episode and kind of let people know some of the other stuff that's coming out there.
Well, thanks for having me on, Jim, and we'll have a lot more to talk about as the year goes on.
Well, that sounds great, John. I'm glad we could get you on the show here today, and we certainly look forward to having you on again. I know people are going to be interested in hearing about your history, your work on Grendel and other things, and I know they're going to be interested in tracking down this work you've done for IDW. So again, thanks, John, for being on the show. Folks at home, I'd like you to stay tuned for more Cult Pop. Welcome back to Cult Pop. I'm your host, Jim Hall. While we've got a couple of minutes, I wanted to talk about some of the great things we're going to do here at Cult Pop in the new year. First of all, we're going to have back some very popular guests from the past. First of all, Sherry Priest, one of my favorites. Jerry loves her. We both, she absolutely love her work, and I know you fans really enjoy her work. She's coming back. We'll have her on, we'll have an episode with her very soon. Coming up, of course, we've got a lot of fun conventions that Jerry and I will be attending, setting up shop and conducting some interviews. We're going to attend Motor City Nightmares in April. You remember Todd and Tommy Brunswick were on recently. Well-received show, great local horror movie producers, fun people. We really enjoy them. Their convention is coming up in April. Jerry and I plan to attend there and try to interview as many fun people as we can. There's going to be a lot of great B-movie actors, horror movie stars, artists, authors, everything you could want. So we expect to have a lot of fun there. PenguaCon will be shortly after that in May. You know, Jerry and I try to get there every year. We'll be setting up shop there. And when we get to PenguaCon, who knows who we might run into. There's going to be a lot of great guests. It's another convention I recommend you guys look into and check out. And you can see the old Cult Pop episodes for that and go to a listing, check out who the guests might be this year. I know one of them will be John Scalzi, so we're going to catch up with John. He's got a new book coming out, and he mentioned it in the very last interview we did with him on Cult Pop. He had talked about the possibility of this new book coming out. Well, he does have a new book coming out in June. We'll talk with John and get him on the show again. Maybe we can catch up with old friends Tobias Bakel and any other friend we can catch up there with at the convention. We absolutely enjoy PenguinCon. Talking again about the Motor City Nightmares, folks, the Fright Night double feature is going on as we speak. If you live in the Michigan area, the Imagine Canton in Canton, Michigan, they do the horror double feature Thursday nights, 8 p.m. It's $10, and it's a great time. They usually show a locally produced horror movie or a lower budget horror movie, and then a classic B horror movie. It's a lot of fun, but let me warn you, when you go out, be ready to laugh because people are yelling back at the screen. This is movie interaction time here. Laser pointers, volleyballs sometimes come out, or beach balls, not volleyballs. I don't think the theater would want to hear that. But a really great time. We have a lot of fun. I've attended a whole bunch of them and just had a great time. So I wanted to remind you folks about that. And if you want more information, revisit our episode on that, and you'll kind of get an idea of what a fun time it is. Finally, I wanted to talk about another guest, Marcus Saki. You remember Marcus. He's been a 3-time visitor to Cult Pop. He's the thriller writer from Chicago, and he is just absolutely one of my favorites. A lot of critics call him the new Elmore Leonard. His stuff is absolutely fantastic. He's got a new book coming out this summer. Jerry and I were just sent a preview copy of his newest book. We're going to get that read, and we'll have Marcus on sometime in 2011 to talk with him. You've just seen John K. Snyder. Absolutely love Mr. Snyder. He's an amazing artist. I've been familiar with his work for years, going all the way back to Grendel. Some folks may remember his Dr. Midnight, and he and Matt Wagner recreating that character. So later on in the year, I'd certainly like to get him on and talk about his past as well as a great new project. We couldn't talk about it on this show quite yet, but he's very excited to let you folks at home know about this new project he'll be doing, and we'll have him on to talk about his history as well as his new stuff. But we hope you enjoyed today's show, a little something different. One of my many interests, comic book, and the artists and writers that make comic books go really interest me, and I think John is one of the really magnificent ones. And I hope you found it interesting. Visit his website, check out idw.com, and look at all the great stuff there. They're producing a lot of fun stuff, and I think you'll be really happy you did. As always, I thank you for watching. I encourage you to visit our website. If you're watching this on cable in Michigan, visit the website, www.cult-pop.com, and you can revisit every episode we've ever done, as well as link onto all the previous guests' websites. So it's a really very cool website. And I want to thank you so much again for watching, and we will see you next time.